In this tutorial, we will be looking at the workflow of being able to design parts in Solidworks, be able to import them into 2D design, and then finally send them to the laser cutter to be cut out. So to start with, we're going to look at Solidworks, and we're just going to recap how we do the bits and bobs, drawing, using the smart tools, these sorts of things, to be able to make just a little part. So we're going to make our initials. Okay, so we're going to start off. So I've got Solidworks open, I go up to the top left, and go to File and New. Remember, these are the two things I can do. If I'm just doing a single part, then obviously the part's what I need. Once I've got several parts and I want to fit them together, then I'd use an assembly. Okay, so we're going to start with just a part, so I click on there and say OK. Now the first mode I'm going to be using will be the sketch mode. Okay, so once this computer's up, here we go. So in the top left, I want to go to where it says sketch, and then I'm going to select one of the planes. Okay, now if you're making multiple parts and fitting them together, then selecting which could be the correct plane might be really useful. To start with, it doesn't really matter because you can always just sort of rotate parts. So I'm just going to do this on the front plane. So I'm just going to click in this little corner here so you can see the oranges round. Click front plane. Okay, and I'm going to start drawing here. Okay, now I want to do my initials, which are PMD. Okay, so I'm going to up to the top left here, and remember these are the kind of drawing tools around here. Okay, that I need. I'll also at some point need the trim entities. At some point I'm going to use the smart dimensions. I might even have a go at using the offset, which you can draw a line within a line, depending on how the kind of the inserts of the P and the D look. But we'll have a look. Okay, so we're going to start off by just using a rectangle. So just click on there. And remember, I will start drawing from this red L. So go to the corner, so I get the orange circle, left click, and then I'm just going to move away. Okay, so I can just move up. I'm just sort of controlling that top right. So that's going to be my first part there. Okay, so that's going to be the top of my P. If I want to resize, I'm using the mouse wheel and the scroll, which I can either click and sort of roll in or roll out, depending on when I want to zoom in or out. Where I'm selecting, obviously, is the center of the zoom in and out, so you have to kind of sometimes move it across. If you do get lost, there is a button up here that says zoom to fit that you can click, and that will actually kind of maximize what you can see. Okay, that can be quite useful sometimes as well. So I'm just going to move over here a little bit. Right, so that's going to be the P. So I'm going to do a curve here. I'm just going to do all the straight lines to start with. Okay, so I'm going to use the. It's trying to help me by the little dotted lines here by saying this will be in level. So I'm going to use that. So I'm just going to draw a line here. So I want to do the sort of first leg, if you like, of the M up to there. And then it's going to go down here and then across up to here. So let's do another one there. And again, I'm just using the kind of lines to help me. I might want to bring it in. No, that'll probably be okay there. Alright, let's zoom out a bit. So it's going to be P, M, D, M. So I need another one line here going down here. Okay. And so P, M, this will be a curve D there. Okay, and then I'm going to have a bar along the bottom so that all the sort of sections all fit together. So my final bit here is I'm just going to draw another little section along the bottom here, just sort of to connect them all together. Okay. Right, let's start to put some of these curves in. So the curves, if I go to the center point arcs here, I've got various options. If I go to here, and let's have a look. The one I'm going to use is I think I'm going to try the tangent arc, so I can do the top and the bottom, and it will draw me the rest of it in. Okay, so let's try that. So I'm going to click here and here. Oh, didn't like that. Let's try from here to there. No, okay, let's try across here, see if that's better. Right, okay, so you've got to do it on the outside edge. Okay, so that's going to be my P, so I'm going to select there. This is going to be my M going down here. If the line tool starts to keep on drawing, then what I need to do is push the escape, top left button, just push escape, and that will stop that drawing there. Okay, so that's going to be the M in here. So now I need to do the D, so back to the tangent arc, and this time I'm going to go from the top to the bottom, hopefully. Let's see, here we go, there we go. Okay, and alright, so let's draw the P and the D in. Let's try, we're going to draw in the M. Okay, so this time I'm going to use the line tool. Okay, so I'm going to go from here down to here. Now remember, at this stage it's all very rough. We've not put in any smart, not used any smart dimensions yet. Okay, which obviously will make everything absolutely spot on. So I'm just very much kind of just roughly drawing it in. That looks about right, and then kind of up to there. Okay, so it's starting to take shape. Again, I need to push the escape button just to unselect that. Okay, now at the moment you can see I've got parts that are the same size and some parts that are sort of connected. So what I'm going to do, what do I want to do here? I'm going to start putting some smart dimensions in, I think. Okay, so before I start deleting lines, I want to put some smart dimensions. So up to smart dimensions. Okay, now remember there's two ways of doing this. I can either go from point to point and drag away. Okay, I'm going to make this 3 mil. Okay, now whenever you do the first one, it'll always, so when I push this button, it'll probably reset for a second. There you go. It has a bit of a think about it, because suddenly that dimension going in means that everything else now has to kind of be proportional to that size. That's why the first one's always a bit of a, there's a little bit of a stutter on that first one. Do make sure, oh, I've just made a mistake there. I'm just going to go Control and Z. There we go. Do make sure that down here it does say MMGS. If it doesn't, okay, and you're saying IPS, just select MMGS. Okay, it'll probably take you out of the sketch mode. You'll need to go back into the sketch mode and then just redo that first dimension. Okay, right, let's go through. So I want all these top bits here to be 3 mil. Okay, so so this time, instead of doing the point to point, I'm going to just drag the line up. Okay, now we'll have to be a little bit careful here, so make sure I'm back on smart dimensions. And I'm just going to drag that line up there. There we go, and just say 3 mil. And I can say on here 3 mil, and here 3 mil. Okay. Now remember, when I'm doing this, the kind of gold standard that everything is fully dimensioned is down here. It will say fully defined. Okay, so when I'm putting in smart dimensions, really I want to keep going until that says fully defined. If there's something really fiddly and you can't find it, okay, it's not the end of the world. You can go on, you can do all the other bits, okay, but it is nice if it does say fully defined. So let's have a look. What's next? Right, I want to move. Do I want to move those up a little bit? Okay, let's have a look. Now, what's happened here is that when I put the 3 mil in here, it's kind of the letters are now kind of sunk into it. And I really wanted them to be kind of be flush with them. So what I can do, let's go in here. If I say the distance between there and that line there, I'm going to say I want it to be 0. That should push that up the way. There we go. Okay, and by doing it on 1, it's moved all the other ones away for me. Okay, so let's do the height of the letters now. So that's going to go away there. I'm just going to sort of standardize them. So I'm just going to round that to 16. Okay, and I can do obviously the same with this one. And you do this side over here. And this one here. Okay, so they're all the same height now. They're all the same width. These two seem to have popped out the way a little bit. They've moved up the way, so I will need to go in. If I just go in here, and again just do that line to that line, and just say 0, that will bring that back down. And I can again do the same with this one over here, just so they're sitting flush. So just click on the line, to the other line, drag to the side so I can see what I'm doing, and just say 0, and that'll move that down. Okay, let's have a look. So I've got my widths on there, so on the 5 widths there, I've got the 1, 2, 3, 4 heights. So let's think about doing some trimming now, okay? Because at the moment I've got this is kind of a solid piece here, but then it's not connected. So let's have a do that. So to do that, use the trim entities. So click on there, Always make sure it's on the last one, the lowest one down here. So it's trim to closest. Okay, quite often it defaults to the top one. You want it trim to closest. And I'm just going to select these bits here. Now you'll notice I will need to click on them quite a lot of the time twice. So once, twice, once, twice, and once, twice. Okay, I'll probably get rid of that one there as well. There we go. Okay, so I've got this shape here. Get rid of that bit there and that bit there. Okay, that's looking pretty good. Let's get rid of this bit here. Okay, so that's now solid round here. This is solid round here, and this is solid round here. Okay. So let's have a think. So what I want to do now is I want to draw in the sort of circle bit here and the circle bit here to make that into a bit clearer. Okay, so how am I going to do that? I'm going to try using the offset entity. This is this one here. Okay, and my offset is going to be 3 mils. I'm just going to type in there, and I'm going to say reverse because I want to draw it on the inside. So we'll try here. Let's see how it happens. Okay. Okay, so that's drawn it on the outside. So let's that's not what I wanted. Let's go reverse. No, okay, it's not liking that. So we're just going to have to draw it in by hand. That's fine. So I'm just going to go draw a line in sort of there to there, and we'll use our tangent arc to go from there to there. That's a bit strange. Let's try again. So from the top one to the bottom one. Okay, that's better. Now we'll just do the one over here. So I'm just going to go escape, back to my line tool. Let's draw the line into there, into there. And use escape, back to the tangent arc. And again, I'm just going to start on the top one, and follow all the way down slowly to there. Okay, and just hit the green tick to say OK. Now we're going to need to do some smart dimensioning on here because obviously I've drawn lots more lines and just to make sure that everything is happy. Okay, so to make it look kind of even, ideally the distance between here and here should be 3 mils. So let's have a look and see how we can do that. So if I click on that line there and that line there, now what dimension is that giving me? Let's have a look. That's a little bit odd. Okay, so let's dimension this bit here. So let's just standardize that. Let's just say that, make that 5. Okay. Ideally, space from here to here should be 3. Let's have a look and see how that looks. That's looking a bit strange. So let's bring that down to 2.5. That looks better. Okay. And we'll do the same over here. Let's try to do smart dimensioning on these bits here. Let's see what we've got. So this one's saying 6.3. Okay, so I'm just going to go with that 6.3. We'll have a look at the one on the other side. Now, if when you're doing smart dimensions, you get this kind of blue circle up here, if you just push escape, that will vanish and then you can kind of try again. Okay. So, now really, these two should be the same, shouldn't they? So let's have a think. How can we standardize that? Right. A quick bit of maths. What have we got? Well, okay, if we add the two things together, so we can use this to help us add up. So we can actually say 6.58 add 6.33 divided by 2. Now, I'm just going to pop brackets around here just to make sure that it knows that I'm adding those two bits first. Okay, let's see how that works. There we go. So it said 646, so I'm just going to change that one to 6.46 as well. Okay, so that should be nice and even now. Okay, And I can do the same with this one here as well. So I just grab that line down, say OK, grab this line down here. Okay, so we're going to say 5.77 add, what was the number again? I can't even see it. There we go, 6.58 in brackets. So we know that we're going to do the addition first and then divide it by 2. Okay, so 618. I'm just going to change that one to 6.18 as well. Okay, so that should be a little bit more evened up, hopefully. Okay, so let's have a look over here. What are the dimensions we've not got? We've not said how long this bit here is, so let's just make that, round it down a little bit to make it 4. What's this one here? That's easy to make that 7. I've got this one here, so let's make that, let's try making that one 8 and see how it looks if it doesn't. Now I thought that, so let's go Control and Z and just undo that, and we're going to leave that as is, okay, because obviously we've got a lot of other dimensions going on here. By adjusting that, it's going to move everything in, so we're just going to leave that one as is. We do need to do the height of these ones. Let's do the height here. Just going to push Escape back to Smart Dimensions. And we're just going to keep that as is. Redo the other side because it's not a rectangle. What's it saying? Okay, now that's a good point there. Let's do that again. So if I Smart Dimension something and it goes yellow, what it's telling me is that I don't need to do it. It knows that that it is the 11.78. Okay, so if it does that, just go cancel. Okay, we know that once done, that's fine. So over here, let's have a look. This one needs doing. Let's try and make that 11.5 just to make it a little bit clearer. What have we got here? Let's have a think. We're going to need this line here. Let's just make that 3. Got a line here. Let's make that. I wonder what 8. Let's have a look. Would 8 look okay? 8 looks fine. What else do we need? So we've got a line there. We need the axes. Let's have a look. I probably need the gap between here and here. Let's have a look. Let's see if we can make that. I think we made the other one 2.5, so let's make that one 2.5 as well. Okay, we shouldn't need to do this one, but let's have a look. It'll soon tell us if it's okay. Yep, no, don't need to do that one, so I can go cancel on there. Now, just have a quick look. That was saying it should be 2. So actually, if I make that 2 1/4, that should be a little bit more even. So I'm just going to, if I need to change a number, I can just double click on it and then just type 2.25. Okay, so that's just evened that up a little bit there. Okay. Right, let's have a look. So in terms of, now I think the only things I've really not got dimensioned now are going to be these arcs here. Okay, so let's see if I can do that. So if I click on there, it's telling me here the arc is 2.5. Let's see if I can Smart Dimension that. So there we go. So Smart Dimension 2.5, and again it's telling me now I don't need to do that, so just cancel. Let's try this one over here. It might be the same. It might be the same idea, and that it already knows. Nope, it's okay with that. It knows that that's Smart Dimension there. Right, so I'm just having a quick look and see if there's anything else. Let's put this line in here. We've not done that one. Let's make that just to round up a little bit, 43. Okay, so I've got 43. The side there should be 3. This part here, does it know big? Yeah, it's 4, 16, 3. It knows how long the inner one is. Doesn't know how long the outer one is. Let's have a quick look at that one. Ooh. Try that. No, it didn't know that one, so I'm just going to say OK. So presumably it doesn't know this one here either, so I'm just going to click on that one and say OK. Right. Okay. So when you're doing this, you just need to go around every single bit. Okay. And obviously, if you get the yellow bit, you don't need it. So I can go cancel. That's okay. That's 7. That's 15. That's 3. I've done that one. Done that one. Done that one. 16 down here. This one's 17. That's fine. Okay. These are okay. I've done that one there. That's 16 that side. That's 16 that side. 3. On the 2 curves, the 8, the 3. Okay, so I'm at the point where I think I have to find everything I can do, but it's still saying underdefined. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about that. Okay, I'm now just going to go to the next step and go exit sketch. Okay, so we're going to make this 3D. Okay, so to do that, to make that 3D, we go into features and top left extrude. We always use 3 mil. Okay, so into here, you just change that to 3 millimeters and say okay. And alright, so if I now hold the mouse wheel down, I can now kind of rotate it round so you can see what's going to cut out. Okay, so I'm just making this little test piece just to sort of practice that I've saved this. Okay, now the computer rather handily is warning me that I've not saved in a while, so I'm just going to quickly save this. So file, save as, and I'm going to call this initial test piece. Okay, and I'll save that into my folder. Into my design engineering folder and save. Okay, so at the same time, if you've not already saved, save your work. Okay, always a good idea to keep saving it, and then if you've got an auto save should something happen. So the next bit is going to be taking this from 2D design, from Solidworks, and putting that into 2D design. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to start to turn this into a DXF. So to do that, okay, the first bit is we're going to need to make that flat. So if we go up to the view here, and we drew it on the front plane, so I'm just going to click there. Okay, so that's made it nice and flat so that we see every part. Okay, we're then going to go right click, and we're going to go to export to DXF. Now, this is a little bit fiddly, so make sure you follow all the little parts here. We're going to go to Options. And we need to make sure that under the spline export options, that the export all splines as polylines. Make sure that bit there is selected. Okay, and say OK. And we're now going to go Save. Now, on the left-hand side, we need to select the annotations view and then the green tick. And hopefully we'll get a kind of black and white preview here, at which point we actually go save. Okay, and until that point we've not actually saved it, we've not exported it. Okay, so now we're going to go save. Okay, and we've created that DXF file. Okay, now that DXF file can be read and understood by 2D design. Okay, so I'm going to open up 2D design now, and I'm going to go File and Import File, and from here I'm just going to use the drop down box, because if you go to the drop down box it'll always have the kind of the last bits that I've been working on. Okay, so if you can see there, I'm setting one down, it says initial test piece .dxf, so that was the bit we were just working on, and say open. Okay, make sure when this opens up here that I always select millimeters and then say OK. You may get a warning here, at which point this is usually to do with the curves that you've put in, so that's fine, just say continue. Okay, and there's our test piece come out. Okay, so I'm just going to move that, so just draw a box around there. Okay, grab the center, left click, and now that's kind of attached to my cursor. I'm going to put that right up in the top left, because obviously the material that I'm cutting I want to use as little as left, or sort of waste as little as possible, I should say. Okay, I'm going to make this red, so I'm going to highlight it again, and then up here where I've got sort of layer, there's line, there's colour. This is the one I want, colour here, so I'm going to select colour here and say red. Just so you know, when we're using the colours, the laser cutter picks up red as a cut and black as an engrave. Okay, so actually we're gonna cut around the outside. We'll also have a go at doing a quick engrave just so you can see how that works as well. Okay, so red and then say OK. Alright, if I click away you should see it's all now red. I'm just going to zoom in, so over here on the right hand side you'll see there's a zoom. Okay, so I'm just going to zoom right in, and then I just need to use sliders to find myself right back up to that top corner again. There we go. I might even go a little bit more in. Okay. There we go, that's looking quite good now. Okay, so you can see that that's what's going to cut out on the wood, and that'll pop through. Okay, so what I want to do actually is I want to just engrave a little line through the middle, okay, just so I can see how that works, how I can put extra detail on there. So to do that, I'm going to use the contour tool, which is up here. Okay, and it's going to give me some options. And the option I want is going to be, because this is hopefully 3 across, I just want to draw a line down the middle and see what that looks like. So I'm just going to change this to 1.5. Okay, say OK, and then I'm just going to click on the line. Okay, and there we go, that's just sort of drawing me a line. It's going to engrave a line through the middle of that. Okay, and I might want to give that a little bit of a tidy up. So to do that, go to where it says del any or delete. I'm going to hold that down, my left mouse click, and go across the one that says delete part of an object between the 2 intersections. Okay, so now I can do a little bit of tidying up here. So I'm going to get rid of that little bit there. So it's just a single line going there. Let's have a look. Now I want that to go along there, but I don't want this bit here, so I can get rid of that. So that's going to go up around there. Let's get rid of that little bit there. Okay, so I've just drawn a line kind of through the middle. I've got the computer to do that using the contour tool. Okay, just so I can have a see the difference between the cut and the engrave. Okay, so the final steps, okay, to be able to get this to the laser cutter, I'm just going to save this. So File, Save As. Okay, I'm going to call this again initial test piece. Okay, and save that into the right folder and save. Okay, so I've now saved. This is my 2D version of that the laser cutter can understand. So now what I need to do is need to go to my email. So if you go to the bottom left and type in Outlook, here we go, Outlook. Now the instructions on how to do the laser cutter section are actually printed out and are on the door of the next to the laser cutter. Okay, so open up my emails. I'm just going to type in laser cutter. Okay, all one word with an S, and I can just go check names. Okay, I'll just click up here, check names, and actually what it'll do is it'll underline it. And that, when it underlines, it means it understands that. Okay, so now I just need to attach my file. So I go attach file, and usually you should see that it's just the bit here. Okay, so that file is now attached onto there, and that's ready to be printed. Okay, so I can now go send, and send anyway. Okay, so I can now go to the laser cutter, select my material, and follow the instructions on the door, and that will allow me to cut that out. Okay, hopefully that's been useful.